Imagine this meticulous hunt, right? Stretching over weeks, using this surprising blend of really old school human intelligence and, cutting edge spy tech. This isn't some spy thriller movie script. It's the actual story of Operation Mahadev.
Exactly. And today we're doing a deep dive into Operation Mahadev. This was the mission that successfully tracked down and neutralized the mastermind behind that devastating Pahalgam attack back on April 22nd, 2025. And not just him, but two other high-value terrorists as well.
Right, and our mission today is really to unpack the incredible details of how security forces managed to piece together all these clues, navigate some seriously challenging terrain, and then execute this really precise strike. A strike that ultimately avenged the lives lost in Pahalgam.
Yeah, it's quite a story, and we're drawing insights from quite a stack of reports here. Things like NDTV's Operation Mahadev, Hunting the Pahalgam Mastermind. India Today on YouTube had a couple of good pieces. Pahalgam attackers tracked by spy tech, and another one about the mastermind Musa being killed, mentioning a Chinese sat phone.
Okay. And we also looked at the Times of India. Pahalgam attack mastermind among 3 terrorists killed what we know. And another piece, Operation Mahadev, terrorists neutralized. Pahalgam link probed. So a good range of sources to work from.
Definitely. So maybe let's start by setting the scene for you. You have the Pahalgam attack, April 22nd, 2025, just tragic. It claimed the lives of 26 civilians, many tourists, and a local resident too. Horrific.
Absolutely horrific. And the primary target of this Operation Mahadev was identified as Suleiman Shah. He also used aliases, right? Like
Yeah.
Hashimusa and Asif.
That's right. And the really interesting part, maybe the key part here, is he was ID'd as the Lashkar-e-Taiba, the lesti, operative behind that specific Pahalgam attack.
And his background is pretty striking, too. He wasn't just some recruit. He was apparently a former commando from the Pakistan Army's elite special service group, the SSG.
Yeah, that's what the reports indicate. An SSG commando who later joined Hafiz Saeed's Lati, which, as you know, is a UN-designated terrorist group. That's quite a background.
It really is. And it adds another layer, doesn't it? Because this wasn't his first major incident.
Not at all. Critically, Shah was already a most wanted figure well before Pahalgam. He was linked to other significant attacks, like the Sonamarg tunnel attack back in October 2024, where 7 people were killed, and the Blapatri ambush, where 2 soldiers died.
So he was a known, dangerous individual with a pattern.
Absolutely. And known for being extremely slippery. He changed positions constantly, knew all the forest tracks, from Kashmir down to Jammu, through places like Kashtawar, Kokernag. He knew how to disappear into that landscape, making him incredibly difficult to actually pinpoint.
Which really underscores the challenge.
Mm.
I mean, how do you even begin to track someone like that? Especially when he's not alone. The operation also targeted 2 others, described as high-value foreign nationals.
That's right. Though the exact identities were still being confirmed at the time, some reports named them as Yasir and Harris. Others suggested maybe Gibran, who might have been involved in that Sonamarg tunnel attack, and maybe someone called Hamza Afghani.
So still some ambiguity there.
Yeah, definitely. Official confirmation was pending. You had police teams, the NIA working through arrested harborers, trying to verify everything. It's a complex process.
Okay, so it wasn't a quick reaction then. This
Oh,
Operation Mahadev was planned for a while.
Oh, absolutely. Described as a long-drawn operation, meticulously planned for days, maybe even months, before the actual execution. And the final phase involved tracking these specific terrorists continuously for 14 days straight.
14 days. Wow. So how did they start putting the pieces together? What kind of intelligence led them? It sounds like it must have been a mix.
It really was multifaceted. You had the human intelligence side, the human need to. This was actually pretty crucial. Local nomads, Gujars, the shepherds with their sheep, they observed suspicious movements in the area and tipped off the security forces.
That's fascinating. So even with all the high-tech gear we'll probably talk about, it still comes down to people on the ground knowing the area.
It absolutely does. That local knowledge, that intuition, it's irreplaceable. But then you also had the electronic and signal intelligence, the SIGINT, and this seems to have been the real game changer.
Okay, let's unpack that. What was the SIGINT involved?
It's centered around a specific piece of tech, a Chinese ultra-radio communication device, basically described as a Chinese satellite phone. Apparently, Lashkar-e-Taiba uses these for encrypted messages, sometimes called WYSMS going back years, like 2016, known for its encryption.
A Chinese satellite phone. And how did that lead them to Shah and the others?
Well, the timeline is key here. This specific device, or its signal, was first traced way back in Bizarin on April 15th. Now, that's actually before the Pahalgam attack happened on the 22nd.
Before. Okay, that is a huge detail.
Yeah.
So they had a potential lead even before the attack.
Potentially, yes, or at least a device of interest in that area. But the crucial part was its reactivation later on. After things went quiet, it popped up again near Dachigam on July 11th.
Okay. Near Dachigam.
And then it activated once more just 2 days before the security forces got their final reconfirmation on July 26th. So this consistent activation pattern, combined with the other intelligence they were gathering, that's what strongly linked the users of this device to the Pahalgam attackers. It became the digital breadcrumb trail, essentially.
Right. Leading them through the forest, so to speak.
Yeah.
But zeroing in on them, especially in that kind of terrain, that must have been incredibly tough. Where exactly was this happening?
The main operational area was the Molnar area of Harwan. It's near Dachigam National Park outside Srinagar, specifically the Lidwaz area, which is in the upper reaches of the Dachigam forest range. Very high, very remote.
And the operation itself, Mahadev, was named after Mahadev Peak, right? Because they were hiding near its foothills.
That's correct. Hiding in these dense forests, and reportedly these guys were trained in jungle warfare. So they knew how to use that terrain.
Why Dachigam specifically? What makes that area so, well, strategic for terrorists and so challenging for security forces?
Well, Dachigam Forest is sort of a natural corridor. It has two flanks. One stretches out towards Pahalgam, and the other connects over to the Ganderbal district. It's a known track terrorists use precisely because it helps them avoid main roads, avoid villages, avoid contact with locals, even nomads sometimes. They can just melt away.
A perfect place to hide or move undetected.
Exactly. So to counter that, the security forces set up this multi-tier grid. It wasn't just one unit. You had multiple teams from the Army reports mention the 24 Rashtriya Rifles and the Elite 4 Para Special Forces, plus the Jammu and Kashmir Police, JKP, the CRPF, and the Special Operations Group, SOG. They were all involved, combing the jungles, layer by layer, basically trying to seal off any escape routes. A massive coordination effort.
Okay, so the net is closing. Now let's get into the strike itself. The reports say they were caught napping. How did that happen? That sounds almost too easy, given who they were dealing with.
Well, easy is probably the wrong word, but it speaks to the element of surprise and maybe desperation on the terrorists' part. Reports do suggest they'd been moving all night, likely exhausted, and had stopped to rest. They were under a tarpaulin, maybe in a small tent, and that was the moment of vulnerability the forces were waiting for.
Seizing that tiny window.
Precisely. The 4 Para SF, they're known for stealth, for precision. They sent in a small team, moved in quietly, waited for that perfect moment, and then opened fire immediately.
And the outcome was swift.
Incredibly swift, neutralized very quickly. Reports mention minimal or even no return fire. The whole engagement apparently lasted only a couple of minutes. Some reports even noted the precision, like no stray bullet holes on the surrounding bushes.
Just minutes. That level of precision against trained operatives is, well, it's remarkable. What does that tell us?
It tells us a few things. One, the quality of the intelligence must have been extremely precise about their location and state. Two, the skill and training of the Para-SF unit involved. And three, maybe it points to the condition of the terrorists themselves. Well, think about it. They were constantly on the run for weeks, maybe months, using dense thickets for cover, avoiding almost all contact with locals. They were carrying their own food. Cooking utensils were found at the hideout. They were isolated, likely stressed, possibly exhausted. There were even reports that Suleiman Shah himself had lost a lot of weight, maybe trying to change his appearance while on the run. All these factors contribute to vulnerability.
Right, that makes sense. The constant pressure takes its toll. So after the strike, what was recovered? And what did those recoveries signify?
The recoveries were significant. An M4 carbine rifle, 2 AK series rifles, 17 rifle grenades, plus other arms and ammunition.
An M4 carbine, that stands out, doesn't it?
It does, because the M4 is often associated with commanders with more specialized units. Finding one here strongly indicated they had indeed neutralized a senior figure, a big catch, as the reports called it. It confirms Shah's status and the importance of the operation. It suggests this wasn't just a random group, it was likely a command element.
Which connects to the bigger picture, right?
Yeah.
What were the broader implications or suspicions?
Security forces suspected this group was planning something big, another major attack in Jammu and Kashmir. Their presence in that strategic area wasn't just for hiding. And a former senior police official raised a key question. Were they just hiding out? Were they trying to exfiltrate, maybe back across the border? Or, more worryingly, were they potentially heading back towards the Amarnath Yatra route to target it again?
All plausible and worrying scenarios.
Exactly, which is why reinforcements were immediately rushed in and a thorough combing operation continued. Intelligence suggested there might be another group nearby. Standard procedure after an encounter like this, but essential. The bodies, meanwhile, were handed over to the local police for the necessary identification and legal formalities.
So wrapping this up, this deep dive into Operation Mahadev really highlights this incredible synergy, doesn't it, between the human intelligence, the local knowledge, and this very specific piece of technical intelligence, that single Chinese ultra-radio communication signal combined with everything else, leading to such a precise, decisive operation in, frankly, terrifying terrain.
It absolutely does. And it leads to perhaps a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. In our world today, just overflowing with information, data everywhere, what single piece of seemingly small data, if you can just identify it correctly, connect it properly, what could that unlock? Could it lead to a much bigger understanding or maybe even help avert the next crisis? What are those unexpected details hiding in plain sight that might hold the key?